Hello, and welcome to Living a Graceful Life. The purpose and intent of this show is to remind everyone who's watching that it's never too late to begin making choices to create the life that you want to live, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your age, regardless of whatever your career was or your income status. You have the power to make choices to invite more grace into your life. And of course, grace is actually a gift. It's something we can invite in, but it's not something we can create other than to make space for it to appear. It can come through a friend, it can come through a reading, it can come through an inspiration, it can come through nature, it can come through physical movement. And so you, every one of you watching and listening on this episode, can have more grace in your life. So I'm excited particularly about the guest that we have in this episode because the topic is now is the time to say yes. And first of all, that's intriguing, right? We're going to find out more about what that means. What are we saying yes to exactly? And our guest is Janie Peterson, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her, but welcome, Janie. We're so happy to have you here.
Denise, thank you so much for inviting me to be on this wonderful show. I'm excited to share what I have learned about saying yes.
Great. And we can't wait to hear it. So, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about Janie's background. First of all, she's a traveler, she's a teacher, she's a soul seeker, she's a mom, she's a grandmother, she's an artist, and who knows what next? Because she wasn't all of these things early in life. Some of them have come about by her inviting more grace into her life by simply saying yes. She's very thankful for her family. She's thankful for her deep, abiding faith, and she's thankful for her good health. So, Janie, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Denise. And I'm coming to you from the wonderful Soul Shine studio in Richmond, Virginia. This is one of the top studios voted #1, and they do yoga and Nia and all sorts of movement forms. So thank you, Soulshine, for letting us broadcast from this beautiful space.
It is beautiful. It's very, very pretty. And I have a personal affinity for the Richmond area because I've gotten to go there many times for NIA workshops and events that I've led, and for Ageless Grace a couple of times too. So I love the community of the Richmond area, Midlothian, all those little towns around Richmond. So the first thing that I want to ask you, Janie, because it's so intriguing and I know everyone wants to know, is why do you say now is the time to say yes?
Denise, I can only talk from my experience, but when I became a senior, I feel like I entered the harvest time of my life. When I was younger, I was going to school, getting my education. I was trying to figure out who I was, what I wanted to be. Then I started a job working. I started dating. I became a wife. I became a mother. Then having children and raising a family is all consuming. And then I added a new career while raising my children. So really there was no extra time. And I was focused, as so many people are in this culture, on trying the best to be a good wife, a good mother. Sometimes I'd go to 6 baseball games a week to see my
Wow.
kids. I was a very successful realtor, realized many awards, Cub Scout leader, took roles in my church. I mean, I was a busy girl. I woke up tired, and I just didn't leave time for much else. And when I started to yearn for something else, I was always pushing it down, saying, not now, later. I'll have time later. Ah, when I hit 50, I had more time behind me than in front of me. I always thought later, I'll travel, I'll take music lessons, I'll learn to paint, journal, read books that I desperately wanted to read. But during these years, and I'm talking about our cultural setting was you need to set goals. You've got to be the best and strive for more. So I was trying to be the best mother, the best realtor, the best of everything. And- But I couldn't hear my heart. I kept pushing down what was calling to my heart. And I kept on saying later, later. And I didn't take the time to ask myself, am I happy? Am I thriving? Do I feel enjoyment in the rhythm and activities of my life? Do I feel joy? Instead, I was just focused on being a facilitator for my family and my career. But then things changed. I divorced. Ooh, that hadn't been in my plans or even in my thoughts. And then my sons went off to school, and now I had some time to fill. So I began to ask myself some of those questions. So I started by going on mission trips out of the country. And you know, Denise, I felt an aliveness that I have never felt before. I just knew that was a good path for me. Every time I went on a mission, there was a yes in my spirit and my heart. Then I decided to try bodybuilding, a bodybuilding competition. So I focused on nutrition, training my body to be strong and lean. And boy, that was really hard. And wow, did I ever feel guilty about thinking it was all about me and the vanity of it all. But you know what I learned? I learned discipline for bodybuilding. To discipline myself as never before, and it spilled over into different areas of my life. So it wasn't just vanity. And then I began to travel and open myself to new experiences, new people, new cultures. But guess what? Many wonderful opportunities still presented themselves, and I said, no, not now. Then quickly I went through a second marriage and divorce. And now, did I really need to find joy in my life? It was not an easy divorce. And through a strange series of events that I thought were negative at the time, the opportunity to meet you, Denise, and train with you came about. You know the old proverb that a farmer's son broke his leg, and the townspeople said, "Oh, how awful." And the father said, maybe so, maybe not. Then all the young men in that town were drafted to go to war, and the son with a bad leg did not have to go and got to stay home and help with the farm. So this turned into a great opportunity when I got to train with you and my first NIA belt, and I said yes. This was the first step on the journey that I began on. I had to invest a lot of money. A NIA belt is, I mean, it's like $1,800 just for the week, and then your travel and your expenses. So I had to say, yes, somehow I'm going to find the way, and it's going to be worth it. So as I began on this journey, I began to, as we say, lose my mind, get out of my mind, and tune into the voice of my body. And guess what I started to hear? The voice of my heart. It had been
Mhm.
talking to me all along, but I wasn't listening, Denise. And as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. But for me, it became many teachers. And they showed up in a delicious mixture of community, of people who were on the same journey, lifelong learning, the discovery of being, people who were living their lives as art. I just went on a trip with you to South Africa, and there were 17 of us, Denise, and South Africa was the most beautiful place I've ever been, but the most delicious part was being with all of these women from all ages, 35 to 79, all over the country, all over the world. But everybody was alive and they were saying yes. There was a lady that, do you remember the girl that came, Julie, with the broken ankle? She had just
Yes,
broken her ankle, 79 years old. And she came. She could have said no, but she didn't. So
absolutely.
yeah, I know, just awesome, awesome. So I've learned that when an opportunity presents itself to say yes, because that's your time and magic can happen. that opportunity may never present itself again. And if you don't walk through that door, it can shut forever. There is a book by Elizabeth Gilbert that had a really big impact on me, and it's called Big Magic. And basically, what I gleaned from the book was so many of us never even try to do the things we would want to do because we're afraid of failing or not doing them well enough. We just say no. And guess what? Then we miss the enjoyment of doing it. So what if you paint something and it looks like a child's work? Or try something and you're not really good at it? It doesn't matter. It still opens that creative door. And the best part is learning to do things for the enjoyment of the experience, not because I think I can succeed. Then Denise, you opened the door to your baby, the cutting edge brain body exercise of ageless grace. And I said yes.
You did.
And I walked through it to become an ageless grace educator and then trainer. And I realized through ageless grace, all these novel, new things keep you sharp, keep you cognitive, keep you happy. Really, as you said, add grace to your life. This is the juiciest time of my life. I really feel that because I am willing to say yes. And through Ageless Grace, I met a whole new world of people who were not only on the path to becoming, but they were excited about changing the lives of others. Denise, you changed my life.
You're going to make me cry.
I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. But not only mine, but those around me who participate in the program. Learning these new novel things is so good for my brain. I don't feel vain doing it. I feel like I'm doing something really good for myself. So in this time of harvest, reaping the benefits of my prior life experience, I am so excited. I feel like I have a lot more to give. I'm 69 years old. I don't know how much longer I have.
And you look fabulous, darling.
Oh, thank you, darling. Fabulous.
And part of that is not just the way you look, it's your spirit is alive and full of excitement and yes. And so it makes you seem youthful and young, and no one would ever know you're 69, except the people on this show right now.
And you know, when you do new things, you light up from within.
You do.
You just light up because, as you said, your spirit and body and mind, you're just this beautiful, beautiful spirit having this human experience.
One of my dear friends who you know, Janie, passed away at the age of 94, Dana. And she was an Ageless Grace educator, and she probably took more Ageless Grace trainings than anyone I know. And the reality was, everyone thought of Dana as like this youthful, young, playful, girly, and she was 94. And what it was it wasn't lack of wrinkles. It wasn't lack of physical challenges. It wasn't any of those things. It was her spirit and her excitement and participation in life. She participated right up until the last breath at 94 years old. And that is what lights us up. That's what gives us life, full participation, right?
Dana had a glow about her. And you know what? I don't know if you realize, but even rocks are energy. Everything is vibrating. You are vibrating. And if you are lighting up from within, you're vibrating sunshine all around you. And that's what Dana did. She truly was. So I think there's so much more to look forward to. So for me, I decided to take more NIA belts and trainings. I became a yoga instructor. My paradigm shifted and my mind opened to new possibilities. I began taking oil painting lessons, and I love it. I found that this creative outlet expands my creativity in just every different area of my life.
And you are wonderful at your oil painting. So Janie said yes to a new hobby. and she turned out to be magnificently talented at it. If you don't mind at this time, Janie, I'd love to just share the screen and show people a few things. First of all, this is one that Janie painted, and I have it hanging on my wall. And this is a copy of her original painting hanging on my wall. And it's magnificent. It's wonderful. Most of you know that I have a big orange Maine Coon cat, and Janie does too. And it's just a fabulous painting. But I'd love to screen share and just show you Janie's wall, where she has some things going on that you can see. So most of you can see this now. I did a close-up of 3 or 4 of the things on her wall, some flowers, one of her puppies smelling a flower, an owl. And these are Janie paintings. These are things that she just discovered. How long have you been painting, Janie?
It'll be 2 years in November.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, just to me, it's fascinating that she felt like her heart was calling her to be able to do this, and she not only can do it, she does it magnificently. I'm gonna show a few more. Look at this. I love this. This is the wall. So you see that not only the 3 that I showed you in the middle, but there's the Maine Coon cat at the top, and some sheep and a bear and a dog. She's done a lot of animals, some flowers. I mean, they're beautiful. There's a scene there at the bottom. They're just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. I'm so impressed that you said yes to something only 2 years ago, and then you have this gorgeous work to show for it. It's pretty impressive.
Do you know what the interesting thing is, Denise? You have taught us in Ageless Grace that the brain loves novelty.
Yes, it
Because
does.
when you make new neural connections, you're adding highways, information maps in your brain. I have found painting. I have had to strategize. I've had to analyze how close are the eyes. Know what color is this. Now I'm looking at a mirror, but it's not straight on the wall because it's two-dimensional. I've had to use so many different parts of my brain. I marvel when I'm painting, thinking, oh my gosh, what Denise said, I'm experiencing it right now. And sometimes it's frustrating.
I'm sure that's because we're not
When it connects, you're like, aha.
exactly. Anytime we try something new or do something we know how to do, but in a different way, we're firing neurons, which are brain cells, and we're creating those neural connections that you're talking about. But that doesn't mean we're good at it. Meaning, when we try something new, just like when we were little kids, sometimes we look stupid, or we feel silly, or we feel awkward, or we think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this? But that's what the word practice is about. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, or you start to realize you have more confidence in yourself. You say, hey, something like this happened last time, and I figured it out and solved the problem. So I bet I can figure it out and solve the problem again. So I said we don't always get a lot better at everything, but we get a lot more confident that we're going to get better.
And one of the great things about Ageless Grace, we've got it in the schools for children. We have it for middle-aged people for preventative, and then we have it for seniors for restorative. And why I love teaching seniors is by that time, we're not so concerned about how we look. Our filters are getting kind of hazy. We're like, I'm just going to have fun. And as you say, it exercises your sense of humor, and that lights you up from within, right?
Absolutely. When we were kids, we were willing to try something new. It was adventuresome. It was fun to say, oh, I think I'll see if I can jump rope. Oh, I'll see if I can throw this ball. Oh, maybe I'll go join this team and see what happens. And then somewhere in there, we kind of got awkward and said, oh, I don't want to look silly. Oh, I don't want to take a chance. Oh, what if somebody makes fun of me? And like you say, as we get a little older, we start to say, what the heck? I don't care if somebody thinks I'm looking awkward or clumsy or silly. I'm just going to do it anyway. What do I care what someone else thinks? And so you're right. In my classes with my older adults, I love how they just throw caution to the wind and they go for it. And that's one reason I love the topic that you chose tonight. Now is the time to say yes. It is, when is a better time? Is it better when you're 75 to say yes? Is it better when you're 90? Well, how do you know you're going to be 75 or 90? You say yes now. Say yes now and see what happens. The worst thing that can happen is you on your own can decide that wasn't for me. I didn't really like it as much as I thought it was. And then you can go and say yes to something else. Like I love that you did bodybuilding. Oh my gosh. I when I first met you look at that. She's 69 years old. Hard to believe.
The discipline was such a great after effect, and also to see my boys at the competition stand up and go, that's my mom. They were excited. I was going to say something, and it was so profound that it went right out of my head.
Well, we were talking about saying yes to things and not waiting to a certain age.
Yeah, all we have is now. We
That's
have
right.
now. And how wonderful that is. If we can just tune into what we have, whether it's the smell of the coffee brewing in the morning, or when you get in bed, the feel of your mattress or clean sheets. There's so many little things that we can enjoy and awaken ourselves to and our heart to. And now is definitely the time, because that's all we have. That's the first word in the ancient Yoga Sutras is now.
Absolutely. I was thinking as you were saying that about our trip to South Africa and the 17 women that went. Some of you know that trip was scheduled for a year and a half earlier, and something called COVID intervened, and we rescheduled it 2 different times. And during the course of that, for various reasons, because a lot happens in a year and a half, some people had to drop out. And I would always say, whoever is supposed to be here is going to show up. And guess what? Someone would drop out and someone would say, is there any chance I could go on that trip? And we'd say, absolutely. We've been waiting for you to contact us. And so I always say that whatever it is, whether it's a workshop, a class, a retreat, a trip, that whoever's supposed to be there is going to show up. And what happens is they say yes, and other people say no. But most people that have that experience are people who have said yes to something, even if they don't know what's going to happen. It's a long way to South Africa, as we learned, right, Janie? And yet saying yes to that, as you said, opened us up to this incredible beauty, this magnificent country. Animals like is just magic to see giraffes and lions and elephants in person, and leopards. But yet the beauty was to see those 17 women, all of us together, talking, sharing, laughing, crying, bonding. That was a magical thing. And the only way that happened was for 17 women to say yes, in spite of any fears they have or hesitations or maybe financial limitations. One of my favorite quotes is from Captain Jim in Star Trek. And he says, make it so. That just makes me excited every time I hear it. Make it so. And of course, the only way we can make it so is by first saying yes. Pretty powerful stuff.
When you say yes, so many times it changes the trajectory of your life, and you have no clue that, okay, I'll do this, and then a door will open, and you have a new road in your life, and that's the road that you were meant to travel. God gave us all fabulous gifts, but we've got to put ourselves out there to be able to expand them. I've got two sisters, and wonderful, and we're going to have Sisters Week next month. I'm so excited. But my oldest sister has always said, the only thing, Janie, that you're going to regret are the things that you don't try.
That's true.
I don't want to be going out of this world and thinking, why didn't I try it? If I fail, then I know I failed, but I don't want that if. What if? And the other thing she says, and I love saying this, Joyce says you can have it all, but not all at once.
Uh-huh.
So now is the time of harvest. We did all the digging and the sowing, and now we're going to reap our life experience. So why not say yes?
I agree with you 100%. So this time has gone by. I mean, I can't believe that we've been actually talking for 26 minutes, but we have. And so what I'd love to do is have you tell people how to get in touch with you. I know that you have a training coming up, a certification coming up, and it might be something that people would want to do for themselves or because of someone that they love, or maybe it's something that they want to be able to share with the world. So tell people about what's coming up for you.
I am going to be giving another Ageless Grace training in person right in Richmond. It will also be on Zoom, but if you live in Richmond, it's always wonderful to be in person. It's going to be in 2 weekends. Friday, I think it's the 26th from 4 to 9, and then all day on Saturday. And what that does is certify you to be an Ageless Grace educator. And as Denise said, even if you just use it for your personal practice, or we have some educators that do it on Zoom with their family members across the country every day. So it's a way to connect. If you're a caretaker, it's wonderful. If you have children, if you're a teacher, doing this exercise in the classroom is phenomenal because it gets them away from the screens and actually brain, body, the kinesthetic connection. So if you're interested in that, you can sign up at agelessgrace.com. All the times are there, the prices are there. You can just do the seminar or you can do the certification. And if you have questions, you can always call me. I'll tell you my phone number, 804-357-3057. And if you decide to do this, I guarantee it will just be such a boon to your brain and to your spirit. And if you decide to join in and teach or join a community, some of the communities I teach, especially at a place called ACAC, those people are so wonderful. They care about each other. When one doesn't show up at class, are they sick? They go out to lunch together. It's so much more than just a brain-body exercise.
Absolutely. It does create a community. I have a group that loves to go after their Ageless Grace class, and they go to get Wits custard. They say, okay, we've been really good for an hour now. We're going to go celebrate with some custard, which is kind of fun. So, Janie, thank you so much for all of the information and the joy that you've shared that has come from you saying yes. It's a powerful word, a 3-letter word, not a 4-letter word, a 3-letter word. But if you add an exclamation point to the end, I guess then it's four spaces anyway. And I just want to thank you all for being here. And I also want to mention to you that this is again, a reminder that what we do on this show is remind you that it's never too late for you to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. And that's exactly what Janie was talking about tonight. I'm Denise Medved, your host. I'm also the founder and creator of the Ageless Grace Brain Health program, and we are in 50 U.S. states and 31 as of just the other day. We have a new educator in Romania, and she's so excited to introduce Ageless Grace to Romania. So we're in 31 countries other than the United States. So thank you all again for being here, and we appreciate you saying yes. Now, stay on here because we have stopped the recording. Nothing's